Hi, my name is Lindsey Miles. I am one of the graphic design students at EOS Marketing. I'm a senior in graphic design at Arizona State. And today I'm going to be showing you how to apply design principles with ASU's brand in order to make a sticker through Illustrator. I find Illustrator best for illustrations and logos. I don't really find it too good for photography and a lot of text. It's just not as well organized as InDesign is going to be, and it's not going to give you such clear direction. So that's why I chose to do the fake sticker in Illustrator instead of InDesign. So, like before with InDesign, the thing that I would be told by a client that what we need is we need a 4-inch sticker, and it needs to say on it, let's say, slow the spread, wear a mask. And we know that the sticker needs to be a circle. So I'm just going to start off by making a circle. So the tools in Illustrator are very, very similar to the ones in InDesign, the ones here on the left. The ones on the right are a little different, but it's very similar. So if I'm looking right here, I can't find a circle anywhere on here. And you just have to hold down the rectangle tool, and there's gonna be these options. Rounded rectangle tool, ellipse, polygon, star, all these things, but I want an ellipse. So I'm gonna click ellipse, and now it's gonna be a circle instead of a rectangle. And for all of these tools up here, most of them are gonna have secondary options such as that. Gets kind of aggravating when you can't find something and it's underneath there, but you can search around for it. A lot of times I just Google it if I can't find it. And a lot of people sometimes have these problems where you can't find them, but if you Google it, you'll be able to find it, or just by clicking down, you'll be able to see the options. So there's two ways you can make a circle, and it's very similar to the rectangle. So you can either hold down your mouse and you want to click shift so it keeps that rectangle shape, and you can drag it. And doing this, I kind of have to really pay attention. You'll see these numbers on the right side showing me how big my circle is. And doing this, I would have to stop right on 4. And that can sometimes get a little annoying if you have a really small circle that you can't really control the size of. So what I like to do is you can click on your artboard with the circle tool selected, and it gives you the option to just enter in the size that you would like. So we know we want a 4-inch by 4-inch circle, and I'm just going to press enter. And I want to put this circle in the middle of my artboard. So I'm just going to put it in the middle, but sometimes you're like, oh, I can't really put it in the middle. They have these guides for you, but sometimes they're not always correct. So the easiest way and the most precise way you can put something in the middle of an artboard is by going to the right side over here and click align, and it's going to have all these options for you. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure this align to is set to the artboard, and that way it's just setting to the middle of this artboard and nothing else. So I'm going to click, I want it centered, so I want it horizontal align center, which it didn't really move too much because we were close, but it might have moved a little that we didn't see. And I want vertical align center, and that moved it down. So we know now that the circle's in the middle of the artboard. We don't have to worry about that anymore. So next, I know that I don't want a picture on this sticker. They said they don't want a picture. If they said they wanted a picture, then you would put one in, but a lot of times stickers don't have pictures, like the one we did on InDesign. So I want to put an icon of a mask. And the best way to make sure that you can have the best icon is by making it yourself. So I made this icon of a mask myself. Here at EOS, we do a lot of work where we incorporate icons a lot, and that's because some of the content we provide for can be sometimes sensitive material. So things for like health services that we don't necessarily want to put people's faces in, it's a great point to just put an icon in. So right now I have this icon of a mask, and you can make an icon for anything. And the way I went about making this icon, it would take a little too long to explain, but you would just use your pen tool. And the pen tool is nice. You just go around, you click, drag, and you can make shapes and all different things. And if you pull up a reference photo or something of a mask, it's a lot easier to do as well. So right now I have my mask icon that I know I want to use. And I know I want that to be in the middle of my sticker as well. And again, we run into the problem of having the mask behind everything else. And just like InDesign, we can bring that to the front by object, arrange, and bring to front. So we do have layers in Illustrator. They're right over here, but you can use them. Sometimes they get a little mixed up. I tend to do a bunch in Illustrator at once, and then I realize a couple minutes later I didn't set up my layers correctly. So that's why if I know I want something to go in the very front of my document or the very back, I find just using the object selection a lot easier. You could say this was right here in your layers. You could just click and hold it down and drag it to the front, and it would just bring it to the front. So either way, if you're really good about layers, you can definitely use layers to move things around like that as well. I just tend to use the object tool for most of the things if it's straight in the front or exactly in the back. So we can minimize this layer thing just by clicking this arrow. And I'm gonna click on my mask. And a little thing you'll notice is that we are using this dark selection tool. And that's the selection tool I use the most. But if this direct selection tool is just used to move very small individual points. So the best way I can explain it is, say, I'll just do a quick example. Say for some reason I wanted this square, this corner to come all the way out here, just that corner. If I clicked it, it wouldn't do that. But if I use my direct selection tool, I can just click the anchor point of this square. You can't click anchor points, just certain anchor points with the direct select, with just the plain selection tool. You have to use the direct selection tool to just do certain anchor points. So you would click on the anchor point you want and drag it out. If you wanted something like that. I don't know when you would want it, but sometimes you might. So that's just a good tip to know. I mainly use this selection tool, but in some cases you might need to use the direct selection tool. So I'm just gonna click Command Z, which is undo, and bring that back. So going back to our sticker, I'm gonna click on the mask, and again, I'm gonna align this for it to be in the middle of the document, in the middle of the sticker. So I'm gonna horizontal click, and I'm gonna vertical click. So that's in the middle right now. And next I'm gonna put my type in. So for this, since it's a circular sticker, I don't think that this straight across type is going to look the best with it. I just don't think it's gonna look that good. I think this is a great opportunity to do a rounded type. So rounded type is actually very easy to do in Illustrator, and I will show you. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a circle, and this is where I would just drag out our circles just so we can kind of see. And I'm going to drag it out just to about here, just for now. It's not going to be perfect. And over here on our color panel, this is showing me that the inside is black and the border is nothing. There's nothing there. And I'm going to flip this. So what you can do is you can just click this swap flip, and it's going to do that. And then I'm going to click my circle, and I'm going to align it again to be in the middle. And I think that looks pretty good right now. It's giving us enough space in here outside, but it's also giving us enough space for the mask to not be too close. So this can get a little confusing, but what we want to do is we actually don't want a full circle. We just want 2 half circles, because the way that our type is going to work, it just is not going to work very well. It's going to be difficult if we just do a circle. So this is where the direct selection tool comes in handy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the regular selection tool, click the circle, and I'm going to go to my direct selection tool, and I'm just going to click this bottom anchor point here. And these little handles are just controlling the curves of our circle. They do this with every single shape you do. You can adjust them if you want, but there's no reason for us to adjust them. So I'm going to click this, and I'm just going to delete that bottom, that bottom arch, because I don't want it. Now, I want this top arch to be at the bottom. So it may seem just redundant, but I essentially just want a circle, but I want it to be 2 separate parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it, Control C, and I want to paste this in the exact same spot that I copied it. Because if I just click Control V, it's going to put it somewhere random. The way that you can paste something in the exact spot that you copy it in is Shift Command V. So you might not see it, but it just pasted where we just copied it. So I'm going to click Command Z because I still want it there. And I want this to be at the bottom. So I'm going to go to my object, and I'm going to click Transform, and I'm going to click Reflect. And I want it to reflect down, so it's making that. So I'm going to click Horizontal. And there's all these options in here. You can do an angle and vertical, but for right now, I just want horizontal. So I'm going to click that. And now I'm going to take it and I'm going to click Shift and drag it down until it meets these points. And the nice thing about Illustrator is it's kind of going to do that for you. It's going to snap to the points that you want it to be at. So I kind of can tell that these are a little far apart, so I'm just going to click it, and this is clicking the whole thing. As long as you're using the selection tool, it's clicking the whole thing, and I'm just going to drag it up till it meets it. And like you can see, it kind of clicks for me when it should be there, which is very nice. Next, so I want to put my slow the spread on the top here, and we're going to go to our secondary options in the type tool and click Type on Path tool. And this is just going to let me click on our top arch, and it's going to come up with, these are just default text that it always does, lorem ipsum, but you're going to type slow the spread. And I'm going to go with an all caps type. And the reason I'm doing this is because all caps has the same height throughout. It's very even. If you were to use lowercase and uppercase, it could look a little unbalanced. If you ever want to make something pretty balanced or square within type, caps usually is your best option. So I'm just going to type slow the spread. And right now we see that this is not in the middle of the circle. So the easy way to do that is to come here. You have these little lines. And you're going to drag this outer line to be at the very end of your type. And it's very important that this is at the end of your type because it's going to let us adjust the type to be in the middle a lot easier. So then you're going to take your middle kind of thing. They can be a little touchy to touch, so I would recommend zooming in. And you're going to pull it, and it's going to just pull it straight to the middle. And again, it's going to click where it should be in the middle. So that was our top type. And so let's do the bottom type, which is going to be it's going to be almost the exact same thing. So we're going to click Type on Path tool and click on it. And we're going to do Wear a Mask. And as you can see, it's too big for the arch. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this first one and I'm just going to pull it back because that's just letting me have more room to have text. So again, I'm going to go to the end, make sure this is at the very end, and take my middle one and make sure it is at the middle. So this looks good so far. One thing that I'm noticing is the spacing in between the edge of the sticker and wear a mask is a lot bigger than slow the spread in the edge of there. So that's because that this is on the baseline of the text. So the way to fix that, we want this to be on the center of this line so it can be a continuous circle. So you're gonna click it, and a lot of times when I don't know how to do something, I go to my help tool up here. And I know I want type on path, but I want like options for it, which it comes up. So it gives me these options right here. And right now it says rainbow, align to path. Like I said, it's on the baseline of this. And we want to switch this to the center. If you want to see what it looks like before you click OK, you can just click preview. It's usually going to give you these on any type of change that you're going to make. And I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to do the same exact thing to the bottom as well because I want it to be on the center. So as we can see, there's a problem and it's a little too short. So we want to expand this out just a little to make sure it fits. So right now, I think this looks pretty good. Just like InDesign, we're going to have options for our type. So if you were to double click and highlight and go to the character panel, it would show you all these things that are with the type. So something that I did, I'll just show you beforehand. If we had this at the plain metrics and not really editing anything, we would run into this problem. Everything looks okay, but as you can see, there's parts where the letters are touching. The spacing between this S and L is a lot bigger than the spacing between E and A. And so one way we can fix this is we're going to double click, highlight, and we're going to fix it to be optical. Again, just like InDesign. And then as you can see, it kind of fixed it, but not all the way. So another thing we can do to fix this is highlight it. And then we're going to go to here, which is the tracking. So the tracking is going to be the overall spacing between all of the letters. So heavy tracking would be like 150, and that would do something like this, which isn't what we want. We kind of just want it a little wider just so the letters aren't touching. So I'm going to put it at, let's say 30. So I like to look at that. The letters aren't really touching, but it kind of adjusted if this is in the middle or not. And so that's something that you kind of have to keep in mind, just making sure everything's centered in the middle. I already did the tracking for this one beforehand. It was the same process as this. So the tracking is done. I like the way the tracking and the kerning are done. I like the way the text looks. So now it's time to maybe add just a little more color. So I think you could put this in maroon. And you could just highlight it, use your eyedropper tool and click it and see how it looks. And I think that would look overall fine, but I want it to just be a little different. I kind of want to add some more emphasis to the words. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another circle. So I'm going to drag, get my other circle, and I'm going to make it, let's just say gray so we can see everything. We don't want to make it yellow or maroon because it's going to be hard to see. So I'm going to align this in the middle, and you can't really see what's going on, but this is where you could go to your layers because I don't necessarily want it to be all the way in the back or all the way in the front. I just want it to be behind the text and my mask. So I can see that my text is here and my mask is here. So I'm just going to click and drag this behind the mask. So right now I see how this looks, and I decide I want to make this maroon. And I kind of went along and just did a bunch of different variations. So as you go on, you'll just find what you want to do. So let's say I want to make this maroon. Now we're like, oh no, we can't see anything. We're going to go and highlight, which can be a little hard. So if you know you're going to do this, it can be easier to just change the text before you do this. If you have trouble seeing where the text is, like I am. So that looks good so far, but you can't see the mask. So what I want to do is I want to add an additional circle that is yellow for the middle to highlight the mask. So I'm going to use my ellipse tool, hold shift and pull down. And that's a good size for now. We can always adjust it. And I want this circle to be behind the mask, but in front of my maroon circle. So we can see that that wiggle room is about right here. Here's our maroon circle, and here is our mask. And if it makes it easy for you, you can always name these layers as well. Like I could name this mask. And what I just did was just double click the layer and named it. So I want this to be in the middle, so I'm going to go back to my align tool, horizontal align, vertical align. So right now I see this is just too small of a circle. It creates a lot of tension with the edge of the mask coming off. So I'm just going to make that bigger, and I'm just going to take the side here and I'm going to click Shift and Alt, and that's going to make it bigger all around. And I like the way that looks. And I just am going to do a double check that the spacing between here and here is similar to the one here and here, which I think it is. It's pretty even. And at this point, I would just make sure, again, no typos, no little things that are wrong, and I would go through and save it as a PDF. So you could just do File, and then I like to do Save a Copy. And you could name it like mask sticker, and you would just go down here and click Adobe PDF and then click save, or you could click range, which is just selecting certain artboards. So I have 2 right now, but just for the sake of this, I only want the second one. I could click 2, save, and it would come up and just be the second one. So that is the tutorial for the sticker.